Deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity, and save me from bloody men. The mighty are gathered against me. Awake to help me, and behold.
The very foundation of the Christian faith is based.
Good morning, people. Let me see if I can copy this. I hate this thing sometimes. Oh gosh, you can hear the guy singing in the background. It sounds terrible. Put a message. There we go. All right, that should fix all that. All right, that took me like 5 minutes to set up. I didn't need to. It was embarrassing. Put that away. Good morning, people. Sorry for the background noise of the choppy elevator and the music in the background. Currently 45 degrees or so here. 34, I'm sorry. 34 or so degrees in these neck of the woods. Can't really show this out. I'm kind of busy right now, so I'll have to do that in a second. Anyone who's been on Wild Heart's channel knows that's where I've been, so his channel kind of got yeeted again, so there's nothing to kind of talk about because all of those stuff has been deleted, so they only exist now in memory and StreamYard save files of I forget who's this Wild Hearts there. Yeah. Other than that, it's been pretty dull. Pretty boring. Just been doing my things and chilling and watching people make fools of themselves while acting a fool and aloof, of course. Let's see. So I hope I get people to come view this. I don't know. It's usually 8:20. It's usually, what is today? Wednesday. It's usually not that busy of a stream day. Usually it's pretty slow anyway. The problem is finding topics and threading them along so they flow in a nice, coherent way or style, I guess. I can talk about yesterday, since I kind of didn't get to. Yesterday, I was on, what was it, Wild Hearts channel, and it was pretty cool. I had fun. We were talking about how, in a sense, diseases and like afflictions can be induced by demons, in a sense, right? And well, Wildheart, I guess for some weird reason he kept mixing up with that with schizophrenia. I don't know why. I had said things like schizophrenia, so I guess he just wanted to stay on the topic of schizophrenia and comparing that to like the demons with the audio hallucinations. Hallucinogens. Like I don't know if I'm saying that right, to be honest. And so after trying to suss out the difference between the likelihood of that being the same thing. We got into the conversation of how some priests are. He's like, I don't think priests require any school or counseling to do a priesthood like position, like actual office. And I was trying to explain to him, like, well, yeah, that's kind of a big deal in some parts. You kind of still have to have the credentials, depending on the church. I imagine if it's an actual ordained church, that you would have to go through those processes of education, because they don't want just some, you can't just be some country bumpkin and be like, I'm a preacher. Derp. Look at me. Whoop-de-doo. Can't just be like, I have a YouTube channel, so therefore I can talk my microphone. I guess in the sense, if people listen and follow you, right, then you kind of are a preacher regardless of the subject. I was trying to explain that to Wildheart too, that it didn't matter if you were religious or not, just the context. If someone's saying stuff, hey, Jill, good to see you. If someone's saying stuff and people are listening, well, then you're a preacher, because people are listening to you. Whether it's stupid stuff, right? That's fine. If you're preaching stupid stuff, that's still stupid, but you're still a preacher if people are listening. Right? Doesn't have to be in any sense of religious context. But yeah, there was also trying to explain to them how, in some instances, when it comes to like exorcisms, like there would be differences between like people trying to find fake ones and but people trying to be fake about it, right, or misled, rather than actual cases. Like these things are taken with a skeptical form of view when they are approached. Uh, yeah, then Richard came in, Richard Madsen, and then it got into this talk about, how do you describe it? Intelligence without a body, or something along those lines. I forgot how he described it, because it was like, and this is something in the sense that when it comes to like the symptoms, right? And I guess that's ultimately what it came down to, would be if the symptoms match schizophrenia, right? It doesn't mean that it's actually schizophrenia, even though the symptoms are still there. It doesn't mean it's schizophrenia. It could look like schizophrenia. Doesn't mean that it actually is, right? For example, let's say with auditory hallucinations, that's one thing that people witness in schizophrenia. It's not limited to that, right? And there's multiple factors that involve, like visual hallucinations as well. Everything can get effed up by it. Schizophrenia in that sense. But let's stick with the auditory hallucinations. Let's say that someone who's suffering from schizophrenia has this right there. They hear voices. Now, when they hear voices, how do they know that the voices that they hear aren't, in a sense, a monologue engaging in just monologue conversation, I guess you could say? Which most likely is what most people often have, is that little voice in their head, right? And so that's something people look at. And then I guess schizophrenia would be, there's another voice that isn't yours that you have no control over, and it's talking on its own, I guess you could say, will, agency. I guess you could say it has its own thing that you don't seem to be able to have any type of say in the matter, I guess, right? So you have this thing now. You can have schizophrenia genetically, which is kind of a problem. It can get passed down to, I think it's called heredity, right? So that can have a problem with it. Now, let's say someone's doing drugs. Let's say they're doing drugs and they hear auditory hallucinogens, start hearing voices. Is that person now schizophrenic, right? Or is that person now possessed in the same instance, or oppressed in the, because there's many different type of demonic activities that go on. There's different things that demons will do. Possession's just one, oppression's another one. And there's a couple more, which I don't have right now, but there's a couple more other things that they would do to people. So we have these three things going on. One that's induced by drug, one that seems to be an outside agency involving other types of agency, and then you have one that's a genetic-ish defect, I guess you could say. Or I don't want to even say genetic issue, right? Because it's not necessarily an issue, but just a genetic factor, I guess you could say. They make it sound better. A genetic factor. So let's say you have two out of these ones. 2 out of 3 of these are caused, in a sense, by outside agencies, potentially. In a sense, the hearing voices from actual different voices other than your own, inside your own internal thinking process, whatever that's called, right? Inside that, then you're hearing other voices, hallucinations that sound like someone's whispering in or whatever. I don't know how to exactly explain it because I don't have it. So I hope people understand what I'm trying to explain, though. So you have the systems of that, right? And it's going on, and then you get them through drugs, right? Well, at least you know, if you have the drugs, that now you could potentially have this as a side effect that could potentially be stuck with you for the rest of your life. Now, does that mean you now have schizophrenia? No, I don't think that does. I think you're just suffering from a side effect from a chemical that caused you to become like a defective in a sense, or something become haywire. I don't know if you can call it defective. Rather than, I guess you could say, a demonic presence, which could be influenced not through your own means, but through others by its own will, come and go as its own pleasure, I guess. I guess you could say the same thing with certain symptoms, that they will come and go, right? So there's patterns. I know that there would be patterns in this. Or at least it seems like there would be patterns. So how would you be able to distinguish from the diagnosis of these three things? One will hold the field that one of them isn't true. Let's say all three of them don't. Like the whole, or not all three. All three should be approached. The third one, the demonics, with skepticism. All three should. One who would believe should come in with skepticism. The one who thinks it's induced by, like, how would you say, pharmaceutical drugs, or just drugs in general, illegal or prescription, doesn't matter. And then you have the genetic factor. I think all of them would be skeptical, even the faith believer, whether it would be potentially demons, because it just doesn't seem very natural in the world. So they would have to rule out the other two in order to see if it was. If there's no family history of it, there's no drug involvement in this person's life, there's no bad environment per se, like a chemical leak that would go into drugs, I guess, and affecting their head, So if there's other things going on, then it might just be that third option that no one wants to talk about, or something completely else, Not everything is black and white. So that's something, that I kind of wanted to get across, but it kind of got lost in translation. Another kind of odd thing that it gets weird, because we were talking about the demonics, right, and the oppression and all that. Well, I just spoke to you. There's something that happens, right, when it comes to these themes. The one way you can tell if it's demonic, if someone just starts randomly talking shit about, like, in a sense, the Bible, talk about how Christ isn't good enough. Christ tries. Christ's message is defeated, when people start talking bad about things that come from the Bible, like there was an instance, I forget the person's name, Krishna, I think, where he was talking about the Bible and how, oh, I use up all the scriptures of the world. All the scriptures of the world are good, right? This is the caveat. All the scriptures of the world are good. And then he adds the caveat, but the Bible is misplaced in X, Y, Z. Christ tried to do this. Christ tried. I'm like, well, you see, if you're saying all of it's good, but you're saying there's exclusions, I don't think that's necessarily the case, you see. I don't think anyone who read it actually would say that, considering that Christ didn't fail at anything because his whole purpose was salvation, nothing more. The only thing that, I mean, there's nothing more to the Bible except follow the commandments of your God. That's literally love your God as you love yourself and love your neighbor and follow the words of your Lord. That's simple. And a lot of people don't like that command theory. They get upset. But it is a decree from a king. And if you don't want the king, well, then the king won't have you either. It's kind of generous, actually, if you ask me. And it's sad to see the demonics that come over people in the instance. Like they're oblivious to it. They don't even know what it appears like and what it shows. And it's not even them that it's affecting, but us believers in Christ. Because they're not after. They already have them if they're speaking through them as a puppet. They're already theirs. You don't have to worry about voices or nothing. You're saying it from your own lips at that point. You are the monster that you fear at the end. It's just funny because he said it the other day. And he said it earlier, and then right? Then he presents it in another light, which he has no clue. Which is fine. They call it things like opinion. Right? And they think that having an opinion is fair. But opinions are a dicey game. Opinions themselves aren't truth. But they can rest in truth. But sadly, if you're oblivious to it, well then, how could you ever know? Lack of knowledge, people are wasted away. It's kind of sad. But everyone has their own battles, I would say, to fight. Good morning, Vekel. Right, yeah. Oh, good morning, Ace. Sorry, I put this up soon. Faithful is the saying, worthy of all welcome that Christ came into the world to save sinners, from most whom I am. And welcome the sight of our Savior. She will only be saved. Realization of the truth. Yep. Yep. Oh, that one. Didn't see that one. Does whatever he pleases in the heavens and the earth and the seas and in the depths. I love that one. Because everyone tries to make, once you have the power of the Lord, into their power. Like you harness the power of the Lord, right? It's like having the sheriff's badge, kind of being like taking a car ride with the cop. People are the Lord, the sit-in. People are the Lord. People are in the Lord's car. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And they're going around. They see what the Lord can do, and they've seen the works of the Lord through the testimony of the Jews and fellow Gentile believers. We see the testimony. We see their words. All for naught, all for nothing. Be a lot of weird things just to write about. Why would they do it? especially. It meets the criteria of embarrassment too. Think about it. You have this nation that writes about its own God BTFOing the F out of them whenever they F up. Think about that, right? God reminds me of a good father. Kid messes up. Come here, you little shit. Discipline you. A good sense of correction. But again, just because we're in the car seat doesn't make us a cop. Just a enforcer, onlooker. That gets into the whole thing about citizens arrest too, like in all that, and our dealings in the law and how we can help. Like there is a position for us, but keep the authority where the authority is. What we can do, civilians, to be civilians. But I think the offices of like pastor, preachers, every office, Catholic, Catholically speaking, from a universal sense of the Catholic Church, that the positions of office are the positions the officers would take, while the congregation, the main, are the civilians. In that analogy, everyone to their own call, everyone their own gifts, and everyone their own suffering, because they're going to make themselves suffer for want and for need. It's what we do. I like it when I ramble like this because I know it's incoherent. It doesn't make any sense. It's all in a sense arbitrary. Arbitrary of arbitraries. Everything is arbitrary. Let me make sure my audio is coming in clear because I haven't been able to see my little thing move. The monocle. All right, it is. Or no, I clicked on someone else's live stream. What a shot. But anyway, yeah, the link has been posted for you suckers out there. All you cowards and all you fakes and all you true believers and all you cowards and fakes that are also true. That soon to be cowards, soon to be fakes, soon to be truth, soon to be recognized, soon to be replaced. But that's a lot of assumptions you're throwing out there, bud. Better watch yourself. Oh, man. Man, oh man, oh man. No, it's one of those busy days too. It's a Wednesday. Obligatory hump day. Over the hill references. All right, I think I've done sweeping for the most part. Gotten a lot of the major areas. I can't find the dust mop, and I'm gonna have to go looking for it now because that's about the last thing I have to do. I need a floor scrub, but my freaking scrubber is. I can't floor scrub without dust mopping. I have to find that. I'm thinking about taking on a graveyard shift if I'm lucky. Maybe something. Maybe not. That's funny. I say come in cowards and all that, and a bunch of people just like leave. I lost like 3 viewers there. That makes sense, right? Oh God, he's calling me out. I rebuke thee. Curses and tinfoil hats to thee. Blessings on those who repent and change towards the good, from the way of error. As people like to say, the way of error. Just this. All right. Either way, it was a nice little rambling. I gotta get like an email chain started. Send me an email if you'd like to get an email to join link streams. Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't like my Discord too much. I never freaking use it. I'm always in other people's Discord, so I'm just gonna get rid of mine. There's really no point in having it. And I really, like I said, I really don't do these live streams all that because I'm trying to join other live streams in the mornings and go into the chill environment, not the crazy ones where it's always the same thing, always, craziness, I guess you could say. That's the ones you gotta, people that repeat themselves, that's the ones you gotta watch out for, right? It's always like the same context, same topic. Watching. Repeating yourself is just, it gets into insanity, right? Right. And at that point, are you really helping others or are you helping yourself? Like if you have to say the same thing over 20 million times, is it really helping? And if you rediscover the same thing 20 million times, is it really discovering it? I don't know. Oh no.
Hey, morning.
Good morning. I saw your name backwards, just like, oh no. I was gonna add a joke. I didn't know what the joke was gonna be though. All I had was just the oh no. What am I trying to fix here? The layout.
It took me a while to get it upside down, so I figured I better use it for a while. It's a lot of alt codes.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Oh, is that Christ upside down? Oh, poor Christ.
No, it's
He's on his bed.
Yeah, it's a scene from Cool Hand Luke. The movie
From
with Paul
where?
Newman.
I don't think I've ever seen it, obviously.
Oh, dude, you should see it. It's an older movie about a fella who ends up in prison and working on the chain gang and just ain't right, just his fight against the man.
I guess so. I'd have to watch it, yeah. Only thing I've been watching stupid Superman. I've been watching like the Man of Steel all the way up to the Justice League thing. Just cause I wanted to. I'm like, I want to catch up on it.
I watch those movies, but I don't know. It makes a lot of action and stuff. I like a good story, I guess. I'm getting old. Yeah.
I like the adventures. I'm more of an adventurer type with the action, sci-fi-ish.
Cool. A lot of humor in that side.
Yeah, I get weird. I just I don't know. There's probably some like good drama movies, like rom-coms or something like that are pretty good. It's just like I have no interest in because I don't even want to give them a chance. I see a title, I'm just like, nope. And then you hear about it. Like it's been one time where it was like a movie like that, right? And it's like, okay, so I want to check it out, and I heard about it, right? And then, oh wait, no, I messed that up. I freaking went to see it, right? Like, and then it was crap.
Yeah.
Or you thought it was crap,
I don't know. These movies nowadays are kind of hit and miss. Like, I don't know. They seem the movies have been so like just in an ocean of anything and everything. There's no nuance to anything really.
Mostly like the remakes, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of remakes, a lot of rehashes and redos, and yeah.
Just come up with something original.
Right.
It's not that hard. Or use the same story, just tell it in a different way. That's also good, right? They've done that.
Change the plays, change the names, change the story a little bit. Make it interesting rather than just another remake or
Literally, people have been doing that with like the Bible
prequels.
forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, what story you can't based off the Bible that you're gonna find some biblical influences in it?
Right. It's
It's so crazy.
I think it was the one that wrote Harry Potter, right? If you want to make sense of my story, just read the Bible or vice versa or something like that.
Dude, that'd be weird. I wouldn't say that in like Harry Potter. That'd be weird. Although there is a Christmas. Like, as weird as it sounds, it's one of those things. Like, is there a God in a sense? Is the Harry Potter universe like? Is there considered one because they celebrate Christmas? Rather, is there a Christ in the wizarding? Like, was Christ a wizard or anything like that? Because they celebrate Christmas. It's one of those. Why do wizards celebrate Christmas?
If anything, he would have to be.
I get because of the Muggles, right? And they're probably just like, oh well, we have to be friendly towards the Muggles, so let's give them like a. Yeah, right. It's just a weird context to have in the movie that even though it's just a movie or a book, I guess.
Well, they celebrate it.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, was there an intent to have a god in this movie?
Maybe like the ultimate wizard.
Right. Yeah.
It makes sense in a way. If you're going to include wizards and stuff, I guess
Right,
miracles would make sense.
I mean, they technically have the unicorn in there too, right?
Right. Yeah, mythical creatures.
In Harry Potter. I mean, they get that wrong, but. Hold up, I'll be back. I don't know if it's your signal or my signal that's cutting out. Let me refresh.
Okay, I don't know. It might be mine.
Good.
All right.
All right. That's better, yeah. I think I was in a dead zone. I passed by it and then it kind of got stuck on it. But yeah, it's one of those weird things in it. Now, there's a movie called, I think it's Brightburn or something like that. It's supposed to be a movie of it's not like a DC comic or anything like that. It's not affiliated, but it's about, in a sense, like a Superman if he went evil as a kid.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's called Brightburn. I had no idea it was like it's like a spin-off of Superman or something like that.
Is this a recent movie or?
Yeah, it's back in 2009. It's made by Sony.
Shit, I haven't heard that one.
I heard about it looking for Superman movies just to watch because I kind of wanted to see the binge on it a bit. I didn't know if there was like any new movies out, so like I'm gonna watch because you see the Marvel, you're like, okay, that gets boring.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to go to DC.
Yeah, Superman to me is kind of like gotten all over the place. I just remember, honestly, I don't think I've seen anything other than the Christopher Reeves movies when I was a kid.
Yeah, right.
Really, just like maybe some like my brother tried to show me a couple of things from the Man of Steel or something like that, but I've never seen a movie outside other than the three.
Yeah, I think the Man of Steel one was pretty good. I have to say.
Rewatching the last full movie I seen was Richard Pryor in it, so maybe it ruined Superman for me. I don't know.
That's old as shit, right?
It is, dude. Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid. It was like, "Yo, Super!" It had like freaking Richard Pryor in there. So, I mean, the storyline was pretty good, I think. And putting Richard Pryor in there, I think might have been the right time for the audience at that time. But if you go back and watch it, I would imagine it might ruin it. I don't know, or just make it just silly.
Probably if it gets all race ethical and whatever.
Well, I think it was because Richard Pryor was so big back then. They want to throw him in there somewhere, so they just put him in as a computer whiz. He was a guy that made a program that could make because it synthesized kryptonite. That's why it was red. So in a weird way, if you look at the red kryptonite and the whole universe, fucking Richard Pryor who made the algorithm to create red kryptonite. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's cool, actually, too. It's funny and cool to say, too. Like, that's cool. Richard Pryor's a badass. Look at him.
Right. But he changes his mind towards the end. He's like feeling sorry for Superman, trying to save his life or something like that. It's all right movie.
Always gotta save Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes Richard Pryor's character lovable at the end, and when you mentioned where Superman went bad in that movie, in the third one, is when something happened to Superman. I don't know if it has to do with the kryptonite he was exposed to or what, but he separates from himself. I mean, he becomes two people. He has to fight himself in this junkyard scene with the car crusher and all that. So you can imagine, the fight's pretty intense for that time in 1980, whatever, without the added effects of CGI graphics.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
The whole movie just gets more interesting and interesting. I might have to watch it again.
Well, actually, I love the old school practical because it's practical. It's the fucking actual material, scenes that you use. It's very rare that they use CGI back in the day.
Right.
And that's the stuntmen and all that. Now everything's like, stuntman for CGI, and it's just a dude in a green screen, Ooh,
right, yeah, sit on a crate pretending to fly.
Yeah.
I was watching it's pretty dark. I think you might, if you like that dark kind of stuff, even though it's a lighter movie, there's a dark scene in there where he just like totally stops giving a shit and he sits in a bar and he starts hearing all these voices, like, help me, super, all this shit going on, like people being murdered or whatever. He just sitting there not giving a fuck, just flicking fucking pistachios at the fucking bottles and busting them.
Yeah, what the fuck else are you supposed to do, right?
You think he had enough? We couldn't take any more.
Right. It's like, where do you think Jesus is at now, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like a little bit like that. Yeah.
God dang it!
Like a gift for you fuckers.
Yeah. Like, I'm supposed to have messengers and shit. Motherfuckers can't do their job right. Go fucking help the world.
Always helping.
You assholes.
Helping each other.
Yeah. It's one man. It's like one of those. You gotta do something right. You gotta do it yourself. No.
Right. It's like, forget it. I'll take care of it. It's like one of those ultimate dad moves. You guys can't do it right. I'll do it.
Fuck. That's the scary bit. If it was up to Christ, that's the thing. If it was up to Christ, I'm pretty sure it would be like that. But it's not in Christ's hands, right?
You had your chance.
That's the weird thing.
It's too late now.
Yeah. Yep, you broke the rules, and now I'm gonna pull out all your pubic hair.
One by one.
You motherfucker. Yeah. That's how I feel it's gonna be. That's retribution, at least, right? Some weird sense.
In a weird way, it'd be even though it's just speculation or who knows what, it'd be kind of cool to see some, like let's say the almighty hand of God or whoever just come down and just start judging everybody, and you get to see everybody for who they are and what they are, expose everybody. That'd be kind of interesting.
Fuck, it'd be sad. I'm telling you, dude, the whole world would be like crying at that point because of all this shit. Fuck. Well, I guess it goes in the thing that what you know, what you really don't know, with truth lies, right? Like, you can't be one of those could be what if everyone that you know is like actually those what if bad things. So like you find out your loyal wife is actually a cheating whore every chance she actually got, right? And then you find this out and it's like shit like that. You didn't know because while she was, she looked at, and all that crap happens, right? Your biggest fears are broken before you that you thought you knew, right? And they turn out to be true. Like that's the one thing that's always fucking like, what if that's like one of the things?
I think it'd be
a big what if,
I think it'd be a good thing because then it would like separate everybody from where they need to be. And if the person should have never been trusted in the first place, then that wouldn't be there as an obstacle ever again.
Right. I think, I don't know, it gets in that weird thing about forgiveness as well. That goes through, like, would you be able to forgive someone after all that? Mind you, everyone's already died, right? We're all dead, death to us part, so we're no longer married and all that by the laws and whatever. So it's not like a completely different person at that point. So, like, could you forgive a stranger for having done these things to you in a sense after the fact?
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, right? Because it's already happened, right? You're alive and you're well afterwards, so they did all these things. Would you be able to forgive them?
See, I'm too forgiving, but I'm too evil. Like a certain
I don't know if I would be able to,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to forgive certain things for I guess that's the whole weird thing about it too. It's like, oh, they're truly born again, so in their heart they don't feel that way, but yet in the lifetime they experience, they still committed something or led to that in that way. Do they deserve some type of retribution, some type of punishment, or is it allowance just because of acknowledgement of what is? It's really hard to say. should they get punished for what they've done, regardless if they're sorry for it?
Well, I guess there's caveats to that. There's if you've repented, right? If you've repented from that wrongdoing, right, and either make amends or just ask for forgiveness, right? Then that should be, in the Christian sense, copacetic. You should be saved because you're already, in a sense,
Yeah, that's
gone through forgiveness.
in a weird way.
It goes in the sense of like, not in a sense like, mind you, this is when you're in life, right? So you, like, let's say you steal $30 from your neighbor, some shit like that, right? And so like you stole the $30, you're like, fuck, I fucked up. You go tell your neighbor. Your neighbor's like, yeah, I stole $30 from you. You pay back $60, right?
Yeah.
You pay them back $60 to give them what they had and to make do more, because you got to give more. You always got to give extra. That's something people don't know about either. You always got to give a sense and a little more when you make that retribution, because you got to increase. You got to give the increase.
See, that's forgiveness. Can be forgiven because they've not only acknowledged what they've done wrong, they also admitted to it. So that's a sort of like, shame and humbling. And they paid back, which is a sign of honor. And
restitution, yeah.
Yeah, that right there is honorable. But how do you like bring back a life for those type of people, that type of situation, or damage?
Well, that's the different ones,
yeah. That's where it gets like a little more.
That's all in against those, like, in a sense, for a Christian, right? So that person comes asking for forgiveness. And in a Christian sense, no matter what they did, right, it depends on the context, if they've actually truly repented, kind of like how I described to you, right? So if someone comes up to you and let's say like they did that and you're really pissed off at them and you do whatever.
Yeah.
By Christian standards, since they obviously went through all that work and they're genuine, sincere, forgiveness is, in a sense, a requirement. You can't not forgive them, especially if they ask for it. Now, if someone who isn't like an unbeliever and they don't ask for forgiveness, or even a brother, if they don't ask for forgiveness, then they're not worthy of it at all, because they haven't earned, in a sense, that forgiveness. Whether they forgive them, like let's say they stole that $30 from you, right? And they say, I'm sorry, I stole $30, but then they go back and steal the $30 again.
Yeah, then they just the same as they always were.
Right. But yet, again, they come to you that time and they ask for forgiveness. They like, I have a problem. And they have a problem. And they come doing again. They're a repeat offender. What do you do in that situation? Do you call the black horse from being, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know how they are. At this point, is it your fault that you leave your money around for this idiot to steal? At some point, there's going to be some accountability held on you. Because it's in a sense
the shame on you, twice shame on me thing. Like,
right.
Know better about people like that. There are a lot of people like that too.
Yeah, but people always give the second chances, though, right? We always give more than one chances because we're very forgiving in nature. We want people to do what's best for them in general. It's what we think, they're going to do what's best, until finally it comes a point to where it's, nope, it's done.
Yeah,
no more forgiveness.
3 strikes rule or something,
Right. Which you get into a sense of reprobatism. It's over there. I'll let me dump this up because I don't have the code. Here. Sorry, check my wife. Ow, you threw that at me. She didn't mean to. She just tossed it and it hit me. But yeah, it's like that. Like that whole reprobatism kind of goes into that, whether they could just be a falsehood about their sincerity, and then there's no hope for them. And only God can try to ease that, and that's if they're even open to that, right?
Or even if they're even really there,
or correction in general,
souls,
right?
Or they're put there for objects for these things to happen for people. I don't. It's dude. Does everybody
that's a good one.
Here has even have a soul worth saving, or are they just props in this game,
right?
To kind of I guess clean out.
Dude, I gotta say though, imagine though, like I hate this line of thought because I thought about it too, but that's a long time for a prop to be used, from like in a sense from birth all the way to death. This is a prop in life, and this prop has to go about living like us. Like, what type of existence is that? Unless like if that is an existence, I think that goes into, in a sense, these. Like in the sense which judgment and salvation, in the same way as like there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Well, I would think any existence as any other animal would exist, like any dog or ape or even ant for that matter. They're just doing their process, they're just alive. Some people to me, it just seem like they don't have anything, no spark, just there.
So wait, you would say animals are soulless then, in a sense?
No, they
That's
have
a weird one.
they have like they have life, but I mean it's just survival, just instincts to survive versus insight to explore or contemplate.
So I see what you're saying. You're saying fundamental foundations of instinct, like fight or flight, versus the free will to decide whether to even engage fight or flight behavior or something else. I
Right,
see what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, something like that. It's
Yeah.
just getting over that hurdle of just living in the moment, just living in the
Right.
moment,
Right.
being just an emotional creature on this earth. To really want to, rather than just following the herd, or even the herd of the church and believing what they believe in, but really thinking about it and coming to.
I didn't have a dust mop. I wasn't going to sweep up anything with. Sorry. My wife's telling me, she's like, "You missed a spot." I'm like, "You never told me about a spot." What spot? So now she's mad at me. Now I'm mad because I didn't sweep the spot at work. Fuck. But yeah, sorry about that. Could you repeat that? Because I did miss it. She.
Oh man, I'm just smoking weed. I forgot what I said.
I know, right?
Something to do with soul or something like that. I'm not too worried about it. I'm looking forward to the end of the world.
Oh, I need to pop the hood. My wife's yelling at me like fucking all day. I can't do nothing right today. Go to bed. What the fuck am I looking for? There we go. It's been popped. She wanted me to pop open the hood. She's shouting. She's like my little mechanical wife. I'm the woman that drives. I don't know what I'm doing, honey. Can you check the engine?
Just put gas in and go.
Yeah. Actually, I freaking have her do that too. I have her put, because I drive the goddamn thing everywhere. And I'm always driving. I'm like, you don't fucking drive. Pump the gas. Get out. Run it. Fill it up. I'm the driver. I'd stay in the car. She always gets mad. You don't do anything. Like, I drive. Do you not? I have to force myself to stay awake when I don't want to. All the time, Like, I don't want to do this anymore that much. It's lost its fun.
Yeah. You drive from place to place. I still enjoy driving. I always have.
Oh, yeah, I do, too. Just not when it's all the time for, like, work, right? I love driving when it's just going wherever, but when I have to do it for work, it's like, God dang, woman. Like, could you please? Because then I'm driving, like, that's all I do. Like, from my wake up, it's like I'm just driving from here to work. It all depends on the day, to be honest.
I was lucky because I grew up in a big city, so I got to make the best of it. Like, I had to go from a place north of Claremont to National City, which imagine you have to go right through downtown San Diego, around the 94, where all the freeways merge and let off. If I wanted to go straight shot, go home, taking about an hour. But I was like, fuck it. I hit like the side streets. I go down partway down like La Jolla Shores Boulevard, catch the fucking coast, Seaport Village, cruise on Main Street home. It's about the same time, but I blast the radio, have to worry about fucking stop and go. Yeah, I have to make the best of it sometimes.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like I do that like sometimes when it's late at night. Like I think I might do that later on tonight. Where you can take the back roads, and like I just take the back roads. It's longer, like 10 minutes longer, but I just go the scenic route, and I top out like it's a 45, 50 mile an hour road, but I go like 70 or 80 sometimes.
Sweet,
fucking floor it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing. Woo! Yeah, that's my thing.
Good way to relax.
But you get songs that you get I have like one of those playlists that has a mix of just like random music, right?
Oh, same here.
So you get a good song and it just hits like a sad song. You just middle singing, and just like you're sitting there and your feels like, damn. I hate that. Oh fuck. Good morning, Orange Man.
Hola, Orange.
Yes, remember, folks, a global flood happened because oranges.
Okay.
I mean, that's technically true. You can prove it. I mean, you just said it, so it's obviously true. You are a man of your word. And you would not lie. You would not lie or be deceptive or deceive people or lead them astray with any type of gimmick or joke. You are an honest orange and would never lie. You are not a lizard either, but an orange. You are only an orange and could never be a lizard. Or a goat, whatever other fucking animal you have, I don't remember. Good morning, Orange Man. Bad.
Did you know that
Orange Fantastic.
that parasites didn't exist before animals at one point. They didn't originally exist. I'm just gonna state that. Not gonna explain.
Jesus, that's crazy. Were you talking to Wildheart
All right.
yesterday, Vic, about the whole schizophrenia demon thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so because I thought you popped in there. I wasn't sure. Well, the stream's deleted, so I didn't actually get to. What was your take on the whole shenanigan tidbit?
Oh well, he was saying that he suffers schizophrenia, and I've been diagnosed as a child with schizophrenia, and dealing with it myself, I kind of want to delve into it. It turns out he's just lying. It was just the methamphetamines that were causing him to hear voices. And so I just told him to warn off, because if he keeps messing with that stuff, it's going to really warp his mind to where he won't know what reality is, and he'll be hearing those. A lot of people I know that did heavy on meth that went off of it are very paranoid. People are, constantly texting them, infiltrating their phones. They're very paranoid people. People are on their roofs listening to them, all kinds of weird stuff. And I just told him, it's where he's going to be headed to if he keeps messing around like that.
Fuck yeah! See, that's what I was trying to explain to him about that too yesterday. About how, because he said yesterday, right? He's like, drugs can't cause hallucinations. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily the same thing as schizophrenia. That could be symptoms and signs of it, but that doesn't mean it's schizophrenia. I mean, you could just have a side effect from chemicals, and that's all you're having is just a bad side effect. It's not genetic in a sense like some people have.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, there's in a sense two factors to what could be when it comes to hearing audio hallucinations. God, I can't say that word. Either one, it's
Auditory
actual other.
hallucinations.
Yeah, either one, it's other voices. It's legit a different source, right? Two, it's caused by pills and medication as a side effect, or by design. Or three, it's genetic, and you're pre-disturbing your own chemical imbalance, right? Your own fucked up shit. Not that it's fucked up in some sense. It's just a
there's a
feature.
third option, but the conspiracy. There's a third option, but the conspiracies will have a field day with that option.
Well, that's fourth option actually, there, Genius, because I named off three.
Okay, 4. All right, so 4.
Sorry,
Whatever.
Lizard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What would the fourth option be? Because if you're doing the whole, you're saying that there's a fourth option without saying there's a fourth option.
There's like some technology that people have created to send like thoughts or
that would go back into the third option. That would go back into the third option of its agency. So yeah, that is the third option. Because agency, outside source is outside. That's an outside source. Medication, demonics, and technology would be outside source because it's not coming from you. It's outside of
regardless,
you.
That one of the conspiracy theorists will have a field day with.
5G, here it comes.
Yeah, right.
No, definitely not that. But there's a show I want to watch soon. It's on Netflix. It's the one where it's just called Inside Job. I want to watch that. It seems like a nice show.
What's it on again?
It's Netflix.
Netflix, okay.
I think it's like made by the same creators of like the show Gravity Falls. However, this one's more adult themed. It's not necessarily like friendly.
Oh, that's kind of. I don't know if I ever watched Gravity Falls. I haven't watched anything from 2005 onward. I don't think I've watched any cartoon because they've all been kind of smutty and disgusting in some degree. So I had stopped watching cartoons for children of that variety. Unless it's like for the younger kids, for like Paw Patrol, shit like that, which is usually pretty okay.
Yeah, things have gotten really weird, and especially even in the children's. Either it's gotten really dumb, like Baby Shark dumb, or really weird, twisted weird.
Yeah, right.
And all the good stuff always gets canceled or cut short.
Right.
The only one that did it would be Gravity Falls because they were actually aiming for only 2 seasons.
How many episodes though?
I don't remember. Like, I'm gonna guess like 20 for each season. I guess that's the estimate. I guess.
Jesus. I don't know why, but every time I go to the bottom of my weed vape, it always makes me cough more. Oh. But yeah, did you get into anything else about the whole, like the demonic side of the whole thing with schizophrenia? Because I know he got that conflated. I wasn't saying there was an actual correlation. I just said that there's a thing between mental illnesses or things like that with demonics.
Nor has the
That could
church
be
necessarily
influence.
thought that.
He was I remember talking to Wildheart last night. He was going over the word demon and how it's used and how it's referenced as an actual demon or just, something that can be somebody's part of their personality trait that they can call as demon. And in a way, I was trying to say, they both have to be in a way, in a simple way, cast out, brung forth, dealt with, and squashed, either through therapy or some means. But he was getting really into the, I guess the word itself, trying to break it down. Just being an English guy, But.
It's silly. Yeah, it's even silly because with the deeper you go, you find that demons actually is just another word of saying angel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets into the fact that there were
Nope.
Stop
You noticed, Tug. You got that wrong. You got it wrong. You know you did.
Isn't
Did
it
I?
just like a level
Yes,
of how
they're
evil or how good that
they're not
angel or
angels. They're freaking disembodied spirits. Remember?
like Thetans?
Hold up. Okay. Let me scratch to what I'm saying in a sense. The original word, not in the Christian context, right? But the word a demon, which has an original different spelling, is just used for messengers of the higher plane, whether good or bad.
Okay, now you're exclusively talking about Greek stuff. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I was originally
no
talking
longer
about
talking
that.
about Christianity or Judaism.
Right. Back to the original word. Back to what we were originally talking about.
Well, the way the Greeks used it. Well, I didn't know. I didn't. You're talking about Christianity, especially
Well,
with
it
the whole
goes to the
casting
same
out
thing,
and all that.
in the same thing as a jinn. Jinn, in a sense, in the Islam sense, has the same properties where you could have a jinn of God
jinn
or a jinn or
jinn are actually
deceiver.
basically meant to be the fallen angels, and even parallel to the whole winged jinns, which are parallel into the Apkalu and all that, which obviously is the Watchers.
I thought they considered Michael a jinn as well.
Oh yeah, obviously, but I'm more specifically the kind of jinns that you typically think of. So the jinn wouldn't parallel to a demon, but would parallel to the Apkalu or the Watchers, aka angels, not demons in the Bible.
Would that be more of a spiritual thing rather than like a interaction with human?
I see what you're saying. So, hold up. So, that's a question that's going to be answered with a double yes, and I'll say why. So, when you go into Christianity, right, and it comes to the term demon, now because some priest wanted to make a distinction between the good guys and the bad guys, good agents and bad agents, corrupt agents and non-corrupt agents. Angels came to represent the messengers of God, while demons took on the form of the latter side, the bad, corrupted
I blame
angels
Protestantism for that.
And so the problem with that is that's also, in a sense, disingenuous, because by the Judaism standards, what we would consider demons are disembodied spirits, and Christianity, are disembodied spirits. Sorry, yeah, that's right. I forgot to add Christianity in there. Are the disembodied spirits of the fallen angels and mankind. They are already dead, but God spirits.
Not necessarily mankind. Sorry.
A strange flesh, mankind, slept, fell, all that nonsense. The Nephilim would be considered a demon.
I know.
Would a demon be
okay.
like
I thought you meant something else. I thought you meant something else.
Well, hold up. What'd you say, Vic?
Would a demon be considered more of an advisor rather than like what's the right word? Something that affects somebody like mentally, like type of an advisor to do knots or oughts, rather than like, let's say a jinn would be more just like a spiritual being there to do something, not really to advise, but just to, like a demon sees more of an advisor to cause people to to go either astray or to do wicked things.
I would, yeah, a little bit of both, yeah, I guess. It's like, in a sense, it goes into that weird demonic things, and what demons in a sense can do, because there's different like levels of effect that they do with people. Like you have the obvious with people, Hollywood obsession with a possession, and how it's how that's played out.
It's just possession.
Overused.
Just possession for that one.
Yeah, that one's just a possession. But there are things like demonic obsession where what's the term? It's in my Discord. Oppression. Yeah, hold up. Let me get to it.
There's a couple other terms. I don't remember what.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. The one that Lizard gave me, demonic obsession, is messing with the person, placing thoughts in people's head, messing with imagination, voices meant to break people down or deceive them.
Like dealing with occult type stuff, or even ritualistic things too that might be
in their own head. Yeah, in their own head, whatever voices they hear tell them to do. In a sense that it's sometimes I think of it sometimes that like that's where I don't know because I don't experience. Like, what if it's your own voice that you hear telling you these things? Is it your own voice then? Do you want to hear the things that come out? Is it really you at that point? It gets in a weird sense of solipsism, and whether there's actual agents in the set in your head, kind of like what Richard says. Like you can have a sense that goes into the old soldier angel and the soldier angel, the good and bad angel. There's actually some in the Apocrypha. Something's written about that, or it kind of explains about soldier angels and
well, you're talking
sealing
about
in with us, but
Apocrypha, right?
Yeah. It's I forget which book it is.
But we don't even need to necessarily reach out to the Apocrypha because aside from the obviously
I'm only bringing it up. I'm only bringing it up because this is where the idea of that originates of shoulder demons. Is that
not necessarily?
I would say
necessarily. We still have. I think it's the powers. And how they sometimes will try to influence people. I think it's the powers. I don't remember precisely which of the.
I would still
spirits.
If they're still angels, and that I'm just saying that concept would still apply in that same scenario. It wouldn't take away from that. I'd agree with you. That would still be.
If I'm saying, I would say there's actually
a
real legitimate one that isn't. Yeah, I would say there's a legitimate one where we don't need to talk about the Gnostic Apocrypha, but we could just talk about Scripture. If you get what I mean.
Well, it's hard to say because it's mentioned of in Scripture, so it's like a reference to, right? So yeah, you could say the whole powers and principles. Yeah, it's just something as a reference from where I looked. It's a personal thing. You can't. You're talking about I found out through this way about the powers and principle that's mentioned through that artifact. I guess you could say. Not that it has been genuine. It's just something that's describing
I don't think a
piece of a pope's work. It's a pope's brother's writing. Yeah, I forget what it's called, but it was a pope's brother.
I'm not talking about that. But anyways, continue.
All right, I'm sorry, dude. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I don't know what it's from at this point.
I try to look at it from maybe a technical standpoint of how the mind works and where these voices come from, and I think a lot of it has to do with either if the person is really insane or not, or where they could really see where they come from and how they're created, how they're made. Sorry?
Well, there's also like that understanding with like the clergy not to just jump to conclusions on these things and immediately assume that some stuff like this is demonic. Though they don't rule out like the possibility of the demonic influencing it for the most part when it comes to the whole schizophrenia and other stuff like that. They purposely go all the way to figure out that person has any documentation of issues if they refuse to like take their medicine or when they consult doctors and all that before they walk right in. And even there's a part within regards to that, more specifically the Catholic Church, because Protestants definitely don't have any offices or any kind of order to this stuff. But with the Catholic Church, for example, there's a group I'm still trying to figure out the name of, where they actively try to disprove anything supernatural.
The skeptics.
Because they don't want to just believe any like supernatural claim of miracles or just
no exorcisms
claims
for
of
them.
demonic stuff. Because more than not, Because more than not, it's quite often just people thinking they had something supernatural, or somebody tried to pull a hoax. And that's a major one they definitely look out for, is anybody, anybody who
Playing a
thinks
bluff,
that they
yeah.
encountered a demon when it never really did. Well, not even playing a bluff. They themselves just
Correct.
believe that they encountered some kind of supernatural thing when they never really did.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you can be fooled, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's the whole thing of. It's kind of in that whole thing. It's weird, right? Because in that same ambiance of that, proving that it's not real. Ergo lies the problem of Christianity within itself, right? That's the same dilemma that the whole describing that the demons aren't real is what atheists see that Christianity has. That same like skeptical to the whole thing. Well, how do you know you're not just imagining it all? Which is an even harder case to prove because, in
Yeah.
a sense, those individual uh, personal experiences, those anecdotal proofs of evidence that people have for themselves,
Yeah.
for the existence of God that they have in life, that they have in life, are the same way how we should perceive them, whether they are of the Lord or not, whether they are of coincidentals or things of that nature. In the same way as
Yeah.
the fool could be mistaken that it's not demonics and they don't know any better.
Which in a way kind of gets into that thing where I've talked about before. Well, when it comes to like some people from the past, and people believe that they had some kind of supernatural ability, but even the church itself basically believes
Lightning
that it may not
fingers.
have. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
But the church itself necessarily doesn't take the stance of these stories of people from the layman's perspective saying that this such and such had supernatural powers and kind of thing, but more or less that they were basically what the people thought was supernatural, but be out of superstition, while the person in question just happened to be a, say, priest or saint who happened to be well versed in science or medicine, particularly.
Right. Which makes sense why you should know your shit and going out in this shit.
Yeah. But even then, with demons, there's two different names that people give them. It's a evil spirit or unclean spirit. And like I said before, they are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. It's been kind of stated throughout Judaism, well, at least early Judaism. Now it's just gotten wonky on what they want to believe about it. But just if you go to the early Jewish writings, whether Josephus or before then Midrash and all that kind of stuff, and even looking at the Apocrypha as well as just the text itself, or you can see this constant theme of the Nephilims being the Nephilim. This are basically became the demons after they died, and continue on with that. You see it in the early church for the most part. Well, only one or two people suggesting evil spirits could also be some humans.
Right. Goes into the whole thing with names and name having powers and rebuking people by their
Yeah,
name. That weird
yeah,
shit. One of those weird things like that's kind of like why like God the Father's name's obscured, so to speak.
yeah. Which even then, what's it called? The whole personality kind of thing. How these things are meant to be their own individual beings with their own personalities. Part of the early church respected on them is that part of their personality they would try to, I forgot, I think through obsession, I think it is, try to impart that onto a person, infect that person.
I can see how if somebody would think that having a disembodied spirit of a Nephilim or some descent of a Watcher itself would give somebody with the weird psychosis a more even so of a God complex, even reassuring that in a way if they're heavy into that
Well, even with the whole
religion.
what's it called, possession and all that. Possession is actually regarded one of the less likely things to happen. Like you think of things on a scale of rareness and commonness. possession is considered the rarest of them, while things like obsession and oppression are more common. Which even gets into the
The more
understanding of
spookier
what's it
ones.
called. Which even, I think there's some verses that even go along with it where some of the demons are open about who they are, while others prefer to hide themselves.
Sneaky snakes. I sure ping. Oh, sure.
Ping ping.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Peace
Maybe
and
it's-
respect, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
So I'm trying to figure something out. Maybe there's a glitch or something. I can't really tell because I don't know computers all that well. I'm a pretty old person, but it looks like this one guy. It looks like I'm blocked from your side chat. Now, if you're doing that on purpose, it's okay. I'm not upset by it. I'm just wondering if it's on my end or your end, or if it's accidental or purposeful.
Everyone, there should be no one being blocked. So try again. Because
I don't know. Erica and Ivan like always talk to me, and they don't respond, which makes me think that they can't see my.
I'll have to recheck that.
Would you please? I appreciate it.
Blocked. Yeah. But yeah, it was on purpose. Yeah, not like it wasn't, but yeah, it was by design.
Okay. Well, if you still feel like that's what you want to do, I'm okay with that.
No. Like I said, everyone, because New Life, I just saw New Life's comment. So yeah, if that's what I'm saying, if New Life's comment's available, yours should definitely be available.
Okay.
'Cause,
I'll check mine.
yeah.
I know I didn't block you at any point, but moving on then. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. We're talking about demons, something like that. That's the topic at hand, but it can change, I guess. New
I'd be
Life's here,
interested
so
in
like,
hearing
we have to
Plastic
mention
Jesus. Sorry.
Christ at least. So Christ is our Lord and Savior, because New Life is here, and God bless him. Amen. Go ahead.
Has Christ not been mentioned?
Just to make sure, because New Life's here, so the meme, you got to keep the meme alive. Otherwise, we don't have them, and then why do we have them? Go ahead, yeah.
I'd be interested in hearing both Mr. Lizard and Plastic Jesus' definition of what Christians normally say a demon is, and maybe steel man that position to try to make as much sense of it as possible. Or not.
Well, is this only, do I go off what I usually hear, what is represented as, or what I think it is represented as in Christianity itself, which I'm not sure if I have that much knowledge to go off arguing that right now. Let me think about that for a minute or so.
It seems to me like Christians normally profess that demons are unembodied minds, or some will say, are physical beings, but that influence our lives in certain ways, certain negative ways. And I'm not even sure if they have like an explanation of how that happens, or at least normally don't.
The only thing I can think of is just the human thought themselves and where they turn to. If you turn towards positive thinking or negative thinking, and negative thinking usually comes out of anger, jealousy, and you listen to that type of thing too long, those can be the demons talking to you in a way, changing yourself into somewhat of a demon if you agree with them. I don't know.
That's a pretty positive spin on it, I think. I'm sure there's some percentage of Christians who profess it that way, but it seems to me that's more of like a Buddhist mentality on it, something like that.
Yeah, it is a little bit in that. Yeah, it's a little in that yin yang kind of way, and I tend to think more that way.
What about you, Mr. Lizard? Would you comment? Okay. Have fun with that. Mr. Lizard, would you rather I just left?
Maybe he's out. I don't.
No, he's responding by changing the name.
Oh, oh, my bad. I've never seen that. Oh.
Oh, is he? Damn.
Just not speaking.
I don't care. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Lizard's not fond of you, Richard.
Well, I think I can understand why. I mean, I'm not trying to strawman his position, but maybe he doesn't like what I have to say. But maybe that's because they're reasonable arguments against what he has to say about it.
Well,
Nobody
besides the
likes
whole
reasonable
straw
arguments
manning.
against their. When
I mean,
am I
that's
straw
straw
manning?
manning. You just said it could be potentially straw manning, and it could still just be straw manning instead of a reasonable argument.
Well, he's welcome. I'm making an assertion that I think that's the case. Welcome to defend it. I didn't say that is the case.
Right.
That's not a straw man. It's an inquiry.
Well, do you have a license for that inquiry? Huh?
I
Do
don't.
you like going and peeping toms and fucking people's business? You one of those people who just look into people's cars and just like, oh, look at all the cool shit they have. Or you just look at the car and be like, oh, that's a cool car.
I think the only claim that I have as a right to do this is other conscious human. I think that's the only claim I have.
Are we really conscious?
Well, are you aware that you're aware?
I wasn't aware.
You weren't aware that you're aware. Are you
I was
aware of
not
it
aware.
now? Now that it's been pointed out to you?
I'm not sure. Was I supposed to be? No, I'm joking.
Well,
You know I'm joking, of course. Sorry.
I mean, from what I understand from the basis of the words, that's what Homo sapiens sapien means.
I'm sorry. Upright, right? That's what Homo is. Erect, right? Or no, that's the erect. That's right.
No, the Homo doesn't mean
forget.
erect. No,
That's right. Yeah, I just said that. I just corrected myself. Thank you. Yeah.
it means same. So saying Homo sapiens sapien is like saying same aware.
Anyway, hold up. What was the original question asked again? Because
What are demons according to Christians?
Right. All right. Yeah. That's right. I can't answer that for Lizard. Because that's something. Oh, give me a second.
I mean, I'm fairly sure there can be no such thing as an unembodied mind. The only example that we have of that is, assuming the consequent, saying, well, God is an unembodied mind. I don't see any evidence to that effect anywhere else.
I don't know if mind necessarily equates to spirit, to be honest. That's one that soul might equate to spirit, but I don't know if spirit and soul, like in the context that you're using mind in place of spirit, I think that's a miscategorization. It would be soul and mind, but not necessarily spirit and mind. I don't think that would be in the same context. But I don't know, because again, it gets varied with people's soup of soul and spirit and
We just
mind.
call it essence versus essence.
It's a little harder.
Common term, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. That could be. Maybe.
From what I can understand of the text, when it says living soul, it refers to like physical breathing. The part of me that breathes is my flesh. So, and that's the part of me that's like physically alive. That makes sense as well. So then I think we should separate the words soul and spirit from the text as being two different things. But from what I can understand of scholars and the language of the time, the word spirit refers to the way you feel, think, you know, the part of you that's different from everybody else, the part that's specifically you, you know, not the part that's like treated by medical doctors. So it seems to me that spirit is just a description of mind.
I don't think so.
Just they wouldn't have used the word mind at the time.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Because again, it goes into some weird things. Like I said, I'm not too sure. I have to go into the philosophy of it, but
well, that's always a justified thing to say. Is I'm not sure right now. So that's an honest, respectable position. The reason that I ask that how Christians look at demons, not only because you guys were already talking about that, but it seems to me they're claiming something that they have no example of otherwise, when I think the Bible is quite clear on this, how it is that Satan and demons trouble us in our present life. And I think it's important to recognize that prayer isn't always going to result in learning some truth, but can result in learning some lie. Where Satan and his kind are not physically here, yet have a lot of control over the earth, that is people's minds, not the planet itself, according to the text. Saying this earth is things like the seat of Satan and things like that. So that the only way that a not physically present influence happens is communication non-local and or prayer. So I think people are accidentally praying or receiving prayer from demons, Satan, etc. Not that they're non-physical beings.
Oh, I guess that's potentially true.
I mean, don't you get bad ideas in your head that are against your personality and what you want in life?
Oh yeah, we were just speaking about that earlier, and whether or not it's actually you.
Yeah, don't we all get that?
That all depends.
I mean, most people that I talk to say something like, I go out in public, I'm looking to have a good time. Maybe I'm on a date or something like that. I want to have fun. And yet I keep getting bombarded with these horrible ideas trying to ruin my evening.
Well, see, that point though, it also doesn't necessarily go into whether it's, again, how do I put this? Whether it's an active sentient agent, and what I mean by that, rather, it's just something that we're taught to have these what's the word? These objections to the things that we want to do, that we're taught to not have self-indulgence.
Well, that means that the
ways,
demon
right?
itself would have to be recognizable as a separate being. Like I would say, it's kind of like the madman, right? The guy that takes delight in murdering his family, versus the detective who understands the mind of a person who would do that, knowing that isn't evil, and the other one is thinking it's a good by committing the evil. It's kind of a understanding the demon and recognizing the demon is part of the process. I think of separating oneself from the demon. There's understanding it has a demon.
I think that's pretty insightful, actually. No, I think that's actually pretty insightful.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good stuff.
I mean, why would I want me to suffer? I mean, aren't I selfish enough to at least want me to prosper?
Well, I guess the idea of prosper, is that going to take away or inhibit from somebody else's own prosperity?
Well, it could. Certainly
that,
could, but
yeah.
But it doesn't even make sense for me to be self-deprecating and self-defeating and have bad thoughts about me. I mean, aren't we inclined to think that we're always right?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, right on certain things, I would say. It depends on the person's level of.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Like a person's, I would say a lot has to do with a person's arrogance. If people don't like to really listen to things or take new advice, or if something new is apparent in front of them, they fail to grab it because they don't want to seem silly or seem in the wrong, so they'll just forget all about it and it won't even adhere to what it should have adhered to at the time they had a chance to make themselves better. It just depends on the person's level of curiosity and interest in the subject matter, or it's different people.
It kind of reminds me of the akin to the Platonic thinking of the beast inside every man, and that line of thinking of what, in a sense, demons could be. The beast is still there. That's a part of us. Like, my line of thinking goes into that, in a sense, but it's kind of odd to explain because, again, there's the whole Christian tidbit about it.
If I could answer to Jill real quickly, I'll try to keep this short. Premise 1, angels are able to act on reality. Premise 2, angels never resided in mass on this earth. Premise 3, angels are not of this earth intelligences able to act on reality. Conclusion, angels are aliens. He just wants to bicker labels.
I say anything's possible. Not only could Biden be an alien, Trump could be an alien, and they could actually be married and just doing it right now and just laughing about everything. So anything's possible.
You weren't supposed to know that. I had no idea what it was talking about. Something about happiness and suffering, but I missed it because I accidentally clicked on I turned off my headphones instead of muting my headphones by accident. So I had no idea what was said in that last bit. My bad.
And one thing I want to say really quick about the aliens coming down, eating the brains, or zombies eating brains. Isn't it kind of like perspective, right? I could never imagine that, but think about the guy who's sitting there, and that one homeless dude went all fucking crazy off of his bath salts and started eating his fucking brains. And that was the last thing he remembered. That was his fucking life. The zombies did eat his brains. Kind of weird. It's all just subjective.
Yeah, I think that I do want me to be happy, even if I'm not considerate of others. I at least want me to be happy. So it doesn't make sense for my brain to try to defeat me, because I am my brain. And that's like my brain fighting with itself, creating characters that don't exist that make my life harder when my life could be easier.
My view on happiness is that I think it's selfish for you to try to make yourself happy in some sense, right? Because the definition it kind of is, because you're doing it for yourself, but rather have it done through others. Not in a sense like doing good by others to have happiness, in a sense, but have others make you happy. So that's how I find happiness, is through others. Because then it's not coming from me. It's not selfish in a sense, because you can do anything to make yourself happy. Pleasing yourself is the easiest thing to do in the world. it's pleasing others, like in a sense, getting that from others to make you happy, then that's a little bit difficult, I think. So I prefer that challenge rather than the easy go-to. But that's just for me, though. That's not the same for you, Classic Jesus, or anyone. What? Someone calling? Sorry, it's cold as shit in the store. I'll be right back. I'm trying not to shiver. It's really cold.
I mean, PJ, wouldn't you say it doesn't make sense for me to be self-defeating and for me to try to make myself unhappy when it seems to me that I want to be happy?
No, if your desire is to be happy, then I would think, even as myself, I would look more towards better things to make myself happier.
Right. So just even on a base level, not even getting to wanting to help others if I'm strong enough to do that, not even going that far.
Mhm.
It seems to me that even on a very fundamental level, why would I put a date, go out on a date and then keep thinking horrible things about the other person when I want to have a good time with them?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that happens all the time. I think there's no adult who hasn't experienced that.
Talking about just the thoughts of the other person doing the things you would not want them to do, type thing.
Something like that.
Those
It could be
thoughts,
like
yeah,
that.
That's just seems to be. I don't know. If it is, above is below. A jealous God would create a jealous being. It seems if our ideas don't go to betterment for us, they go to the dark thing of jealousy, and I think that's a tough one because I've been married for over 20 years, and so there has to be a lot of trust. There has to be a lot of trust.
Right.
That's a big thing, because
Right.
the trust has to really be there. I say relationships fall apart where the man has too much control, wants to know where the woman is going, wants the woman to call in every 30 minutes or so. Those relationships fall apart, and vice versa. The women become very psychotic and they follow the man around, saying if anybody's close, have their friends follow them, have their friends call and say, hey, want to go out with me to see if they would cheat. Yeah. Those kind of things I think have to be really understood that it's part of just a natural psychosis, a mental state of illness that our anxiety puts us into, that we have to really think about and trust the person, realize that if you find the right person, you're thinking on the same level, the same thoughts, then it's not too hard, to not to trust. It's easier to trust. I don't know, man. That's a tough one because that's, even myself at times comes and goes, but I got to realize, I am who I am. And yeah.
For me, I see it stems from, in a sense, that same type of selfishness that I was talking about, and more so of jealousy. Because I suffer from, I know what you're talking about. I've been 10 years with my gal, going up on like 11 or 12 or something like that.
Sweet.
So like, I know what you're talking about. Exactly. Like to the T. It goes into that selfishness. For me, it's jealousy of whether, after all these years, am I still good enough? Am I still the one for her? Am I going to be, is she still here with me? Or is she not here? She says she's here when she's out and about her day, whatever. Yeah. So I get it from that point of not being good enough and having that worry. So you want to try to take control in order to make the situation more favorable. So, hey, look. But yet when that control gets taken over, that's where the chaos begins, because now it's corrupt. Because instead of control being control and power being what it always should have been, free reign, right? Both grabbing it when it needs to be. Now it's being pushed in a way that it shouldn't be. And things are being looked through only one window instead of reality.
It's like, sorry. You really have to be almost, you're a robot a little bit at the end. It's almost like you have to be one person, one being, understanding each other in that way. Anything that pushes or pulls more can't lead to arguments or lead to disagreements. So things have to be worked out. It's weird because it's not as tough as I thought it'd be. But maybe I just got lucky. I don't know. It's like has a lot to do with trust.
Right. I understand that.
But I just see the thoughts that that's like a dark thought, dark path. Those demons talking to you, right? Give me
Well, that's
that dark.
exactly what I think. I think that's accurate. It's a good working label to say, well, I have these demonic ideas and thoughts and even complete constructs happen into my head, which are self-defeating and can ruin my life and make me miserable. When I basically want what I want, I want like good relationships where people like me and accept me and think of me as a decent person worth being around. That I want those things. But does that always work out that way? Well, no. I have terrible thoughts. I get suspicious of others. I start accusing them without foundation, and the next thing you know, I've ruined the relationship.
Is it something maybe that because it's a tough. Well, a lot of times when somebody perceives a dark thought on somebody else, it's almost that's something they would do. That's why they would have that feeling towards it in such a rejected type of way, because they would find themselves doing the same thing in that situation. Are you only questioning your own validity in the relationship that way? If that situation came across in front of you, what would you do? How would you react to it? And maybe that's why, if you can imagine yourself doing it, then it's not hard to imagine the other person doing it. So that can cause a bit of a problem too. So it might be the one person's own self-control in that situation that's making it seem so apparent and easy for them to imagine the other person doing it. So it might just fall right back on the person thinking of being themselves with the imagination from the get-go.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but why is that person self-defeating?
Because they're unsure of themselves in that situation, so they're unsure of the other too. So it just makes it self-defeating if they can't really trust themselves in that situation. Then
Right.
Then they question
That
if
is
that
true.
relationship is even valid if they can't trust themselves, and maybe they said maybe this isn't the right one. Maybe if I can imagine myself doing it, then maybe that was the right person. And it's I don't know. It's just the way maybe the mind works. Of just it's a tough one. Just
Well, I'm not to pick on Tog, but it's just what he just said 5 minutes ago or so. I think, am I still the one? Well, is she laying in bed beside you? Well, then apparently you're still the one.
right.
Not necessarily, like in the sense what they say women leave mentally in a relationship before they leave physically. So by the time they're there physically hanging out with you, but on the back burner they're already looking for number two, and they've probably been looking for some time. Because these are just things that again people say.
See, that's
Doesn't
a
necessarily
horrible
make it
thought.
true, but exactly right. But it's based in some truth,
Well,
and
I'm
that's
not
the
saying it's
problem.
based in
Right?
no truth. I mean, it'd be hard to take advantage of somebody in absolute falsehood that was obvious,
Well,
right? So there's got to be some truth in it, or
again,
it wouldn't
yeah,
work.
there's truth in it, because again, put yourself in the situation. If you think your woman is thinking about number two, what does number two have that you don't?
You can imagine all kinds of things.
Well, then think about like, I guess I'm thinking like in a caveman sense, right? If number two can make a wheel, right? Then you better learn how to make a wheel. That way she won't think about that, because you've already supplied the wheel. If the number second guy maybe makes a house, then you should learn how to make a house. It's not only being part of a man that has to take care of his woman, but that's what the woman's looking for. Somebody she can be taken care of and feel comfortable in a place and be protected. That's what they're really
Right.
looking for.
And here's the most important thing. It may not even be something that he's got, but something that you used to do. You don't
Right.
do anymore, right?
Oh,
And
I see
that's
that.
what
Okay, that's a different situation. Then that's almost like
what can I fix in my relationship? That's what I was saying. What can I make better myself to make her more appeasing, I guess? But then you're appeasing her, right? And then
Yeah.
by making yourself happy, you're making her happy because that's her happiness is more important than yours in that instance. Again, it's more it gets in that weird sense with that, right? Their happiness is more important. Who cares a shit if you're happy? Because as long as they're happy, you're happy because
Yeah, but
they're provided for, right?
what are they happy wanting is where it gets weird sometimes, you know. If it's
Oh,
out of your
definitely,
spectrum
right?
of
Yeah.
keeping it together, then you know then you're the one that has to let it go, and that's the thing, you know. It's about trusting. Is if you trust too much and the other person turns on you, then you get really hurt because you put more trust in the relationship than the other person, that makes you the fool, and you don't want to be the fool, so you start insinuating shit so you could be not the fool. You know what I mean? And that's a weird mind fuck. Relationships can be.
It gets into the weird thing when it gets
I think he just cut out. I
Cut
mean,
out.
I'm reminded of lines in the text like
Mm.
I'm paraphrasing,
so
but it depends on which one you read. But it's something like, "Don't believe all things received in prayer, but test every spirit." You know, and I have to wonder if I assumed that I could only receive from the Father, i.e., God, then why would the Father warn me to test everything and make sure that it's true?
Mm.
Because that wouldn't make any sense. That's like saying, "Hey, I might become a liar." Well, that doesn't make any sense. But it would make sense to say you could receive a lie.
Mm.
Now, it doesn't mean it's from the Father. That by necessity that lie would come from somewhere else. So then I hear people saying things like, they make prophecies that don't come true. They claim things, about the Bible that aren't consistent within the Bible. They talk about reality while being inconsistent with the evident actuality. And all of that just looks like confusion to me, which can't be of God.
I missed like half of that, to be honest, because I was switching to the Wi-Fi of the store. I didn't even know we switched topics yet. I don't know what happened there.
Well, it's not really a change of topic to say that we can receive truth in prayer, but my assertion is we can also receive lies in prayer, and that's why we have these thoughts and feelings that are self-detrimental, which doesn't make sense in the face of our own happiness. We want to be happy.
I don't necessarily know if we can receive life. There's that whole saying that, when you ask God a prayer, the answer would be yes, no, or wait a while. Doesn't seem to have grounds of a sense to be deceitful in a yes or a no or wait a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just an odd understanding of what prayer is and the way, I don't know. Responsing, receiving, I guess. Communication in between. I don't know. Sorry.
No, I think that's evidently true in people's experience. Yes, no, wait a while. Like wait a while is no answer, you know? So they just maybe God will answer the prayer later, something like that is what they're saying, I guess. But I guess that's experientially true, but it's that could easily be a person's own self confirmation in their own biases. Yes, no, wait a while. Like that's not new information. That's I formulated everything and just looked for approval. Well, that doesn't sound like God told me something. That sounds like I completely worked it out myself, and now I just want someone to say yes. So that sounds extremely biased to me.
Yeah, it does.
What I'd like to see is like information from outside of that person's knowledge range and experiential range that significantly changes their life for the better. Things they hadn't thought of, never heard of, and then they try it and see that it's true, and then they apply it and see that it works, and then they're better off. I like to see stuff like that.
I think it has a lot to do with experiences. You know, a lot of people just don't experience it. You could read all about it and imagine it, but some people have to actually experience the situation or experience something like that to really understand, to really get even a better understanding of themselves, being, you know, rather than just an observer, but a participant, even to being the main protagonist in that, if the story be whether glorious or something that downtrodden, that person's, you know, down to his last knee. It's the experiences, I think, in life that really make the person who they are, what they are.
Sure. I mean, I have to agree with you that what I see as truth is what has worked best in reality throughout my life, and that's why I think it's true, right?
Right.
So that's all based on my past experiences as far as things I can know that have worked to some extent in the past. And if something works a little bit, I would use that over something that in the past didn't work at all. Even if it doesn't work well, I'm still going to use it,
Right.
you know? But all of that is things we're capable of doing any day of the week. Well, we do it our whole lives from the time we self-realize at, say, I don't know, age 7 or 5 or whatever. From that time forward, we just keep doing that. But that's not revelatory. That's not new. That's very, very predictable that that's what people do. They'll even do horrible things that barely work, you know, if it's worked in the past and they got nothing better. Well, anyway,
I was gonna say, if change comes from within, then how do we get it from an outside outside agency? If the Holy Spirit's dwelt within, you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily on the outside because it's sealed in. It's like, wait a minute, this is coming from us in the same instance by like some odd technicality.
Right.
no, I think that's true, Tog, that you experience everything with your mind. That's internal. So actually you internalize everything that you experience, have no choice about that, right? And then change coming from within, meaning something like whether or not I accept new information and whether or not I try to apply it. That's my choice. I have that choice. I don't have free will as to what I'll experience at all times, because there's other, you know, conscious beings inflicting themselves on me, like I'm inflicting myself on you right now by using words. Same idea applies. You're not in control of what words I use and what order and what my mind is doing, but you can reject whatever I say. But if you do accept it, it becomes some part of you, you know?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, words are based in like truth, so it would be whatever bunny trail it originally lead to, depending on context, of course. I don't know.
It's roboting real bad. I can't understand what you're saying, although I am trying. So PJ, I'm sensing something I didn't know before about you.
Huh.
And that is that you have some belief system in some kind of higher power. I don't want to put words in your mouth, you know,